welcome to episode 48 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is the 25th of July 2016. It's actually the birthday of my father, which I just realized I should probably give him a call today. Anyways, I'm so glad that you're joining me today in this knitting podcast. If you're watching for the first time, I really hope that you'll like it and maybe you will become a regular viewer who subscribed and all that. And if you come back every week, I think you know how much I appreciate that, and yeah, thank you so much. Today I'll talk about the knit-alongs and then finished objects, works in progress. What else? Acquisitions, life, and then I have a little special happy segment at the end. And I'm looking over there because that's where I have my show notes today. So I hope you guys don't mind that. Before I go into the knit-alongs, just very quickly, I'll try to keep the talk about this to the end, but I actually didn't want to record today, or I was very hesitant about that. Usually I'm really excited to talk to you guys, but in light of what happened in Germany this past week, I think, with attacks happening in different places and also in Munich, which is where I live, I kind of didn't know if I wanted to podcast because I didn't really know what to say, and right now I don't want to say too much about that, but I really just wanted to say thank you to everyone who reached out. I really appreciated it. I didn't expect that, and thank you so much to everyone who sent me nice messages or just included us in your thoughts. We were perfectly safe where we were. So yeah, thank you so much. So let's talk about some knit-alongs. We have two knit-alongs going on, one of which has not started yet. So the first one, which is running at the moment, is the Squishy Cow, which is a knit-along for my two patterns, the Squishalicious shawl and the Crazy Days shawl. And that is running until the end of August, since a lot of people were asking if we can extend the deadline. So you have time until the end of August to knit a Squishalicious or Crazy Days shawl, and since today is only the 25th of July, I think even if you want to start one now, you'll have plenty of time to finish it. So about that, the only rule is that you have to knit one of those shawls, and there's a shadow thread and an FO thread. And I showed the prizes last week, so we have for a bag and matching DPN cozy from lovely Katrina, which I showed last week. And as shadow prizes, I'm giving away two of Grace's amazing bookmarks, which she sells on afandomdoodler.etsy.com. So two winners will get to pick a bookmark of their choice from her Etsy store, and she will send them straight to you. That's the Squishy Cow. The other cow, which I announced last week and is starting in August, is the Treat Yourself knit-along. So the Treat Yourself cow runs from August 1st till September 30th. And the idea is to treat yourself and knit a project out of a yarn that has been in your stash maybe, but has been too special to knit with. Or maybe you've been dying to buy a certain yarn XY because it felt too, nice, and this is the perfect opportunity to spoil yourself and knit something out of a yarn that is special to you. And really important, it's not about the yarn being expensive or fancy or anything like that. It's just supposed to be something special. So for example, I used the example last week that I can't get Felici yarn very easily, even though there has been a remedy for that lately. So I have one tiny ball, 50 grams of Felici, and that was really special to me, so I haven't used that because, again, I just didn't dare to break into that. So anything that, is a treat to yourself works, and a lot of people have already been chattering, which has been so much fun. I really enjoy that. So yeah, I hope that keeps going like that, because I really like going into the Ravelry group and seeing you guys talking about yarns and patterns, and I'm getting very inspired already. For this knit-along, we have a skein of yarn from She Bought Garne, which I showed last week. And a lovely viewer of the podcast has donated 2 pattern prizes, which I think I will use for the chatter thread. And they are two baby patterns from Jacqueline Harrison. She's from the UK and she has so many beautiful baby patterns and they're super cute. So I think even if you don't have kids, but I'm sure you can find something to knit for kids of friends, or if you have grandchildren. I'm sure everyone needs a baby pattern every now and then. And Jackie actually also sent me a pattern of my choice, and I chose the Lara pattern, which is a super cute baby cardigan, and I think it also comes with a hat and maybe some booties. I'm not quite sure. But thank you so much, Jackie, for donating these patterns. And I think there's also another prize on the way to me, either right now or pretty soon, so I might be able to show that to you next week. So thank you to everyone who has asked or donated a prize. I really appreciate that. So I think that's it for the knit-alongs, and let's get into some actual knitting. Today I'm drinking my favorite tea because I just needed it today. This is my beautiful Harrods mug that my boyfriend brought me from the UK when he was last there. And it has, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it has glitter and it's really pretty. And I'm drinking my favorite tea, which is this one, Puka 3 Cinnamon. I'm absolutely addicted to this stuff. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, there we go. So I have one finished object, and those of you who have been watching for a while probably know what it is. It's this pair of socks from Felt Fusion Yarns. So this is what they look like. They're plain vanilla socks. They will probably be a gift, but I'm not quite sure yet. This was yarn, the colorway is Alice, and it was from the Alice in Wonderland color club or yarn club from Felt Fusion on Etsy. And this is on her glitter base, so it has silver stellina in it. I cast on 64 stitches and did a basic 2x2 rib and stockinette sock with a fish lips kiss heel and a rounded toe. So pretty much the same thing I do all the time. I'm really happy to have these finished. I like the yarn, I like the colors, but somehow I just fell out of love with it when knitting it. I think I don't know. Sometimes I like to finish my socks relatively quickly, and when they drag on I just kind of fall out of love with them. But I'm really happy they're done. They might be for my sister, I'm not quite sure yet. I'll see if they fit her because they're a tiny bit too small for me. And yeah, let me show you a close-up of the yarn because it's really pretty. And I really like how this, it's kind of strapping. I think that's really pretty. So, I knit these on 2.25mm needles on Magic Loop on my Haya sharps. And 2.25 is US size 1, I believe. So that's my only finished object for this week. I was hoping to have a second one done, but it just didn't happen. So the second possible FO that I'm talking about are of course the socks for my boyfriend. And I am really close to finishing them, but yeah. This is what the first sock looks like. And I really like these socks. I love the yarn. It's from Wolkenschaf, who's a German indie dyer, and on her merino mix base, which is her slightly softer, more luxurious sock base, and I really like how it's knitting up. I think these stripes are so much fun. And like I said, I wanted to finish these socks, but these ones just took forever. I'm not quite sure why. So you can see the stitch marker is where I was last week. So I put in the heel, which of course is a fish lips kiss heel. And I am close to starting the toe, but I felt like I was knitting and knitting on this, and I was just not getting anywhere. So I contemplated trying to finish these by force last night, but then I just decided why stress myself out? I really enjoy these, so I'm not in a real rush to finish these. These are on 68 stitches, and I'm also using my Haya sharps on 2.25mm. I am on a major Magic Loop kick at the moment. You might remember that for a while I only knit on DPNs and I just kind of switch my techniques around a lot, but at the moment I like knitting magic loop. So this is how much yarn I have left. I feel like my boyfriend socks, they always go so much slower, even though it's only 4 stitches difference. So probably it's all in my head, but it feels like they're going quite slow. But yeah, really happy with them. I'll probably finish these today or tomorrow, and yeah, I like finishing socks. And it's actually funny because the colors of his firm are orange, or like bright orange, and so these are just perfect. And usually I don't like orange, but I'm starting to change my mind because I think these colors are really, really pretty. It's actually striped with a grey-black. Sometimes it looks like it's blue, but it's actually black or grey. So yeah, that's my second sock project. Focus please. And it's living in my bag from Mina of the Knitting Expat, and I won this bag in one of her giveaways, or her some kind of knit along. I don't even remember which one it was. But yeah, I like using this for socks. So, what should I show you next? Living in this bag, which I got from a swap last week, and I already raved about this bag so much, from lovely Kelly, is my shawl. And I'm knitting the succulent shawl, which is a pattern by Maria Monska, and I'm actually knitting it for the 3rd time, which is kind of insane. But it's probably my favorite shawl pattern out there. I just love it so much. And you can see I've made quite a bit of progress, and I'm showing you the wrong side. That's always good. So the stitch marker is where I was last week, but I've just knitted on this so much I just couldn't stop myself. And it's actually starting to be a little too big for the needle. But you can see this is just 1/2 of the shawl, and I really, really love it. Even for the 3rd time, this just flies off my needles, and I actually watched, I knit a lot of this while watching the news in the last few days, so I don't know, it's been comfort knitting for me, even though you maybe wouldn't think that lace knitting can be comforting, but somehow it is. And like I said last week, I've pretty much memorized the pattern, so that makes it a lot quicker to knit. So I try to give you a close-up of the lace. You can see there's like a lace motif, and then you have these sections of stockinette in the middle or in between, and I think this is going to be really, really beautiful once it's blocked out. I'm going to knit the largest size, which I think has 5 of these lace repeats. So I have 1 more to go, and then I'll go on to the next chart. The needles that I'm using for this are my Adi lace needles in the 3.5mm or US size 4. No, I'm lying to you, these are actually my Knit Pro interchangeable set. These are Knit Pro Novas, but they're definitely size 3.5mm. I feel like the Adi lace are maybe slightly lighter and a little bit pointier, but they're actually quite similar to the Novas, which I think is why I like them so much. So yeah, I might put this on a larger cable today. And the yarn I'm using for this is lace yarn from Juniper Moon Farm. And I'll try to get this to focus. Come on! There we go. Juniper Moon Farm in the Findlay base, and the colorway is deep blue. And this is a 50-50 merino and silk mix, so it is quite a luxurious yarn. And it has, I think, 700 meters, 730 meters, or 798 yards per 100 grams. Why am I out of focus? There we go. And I bought this from my local yarn shop. So yeah, I'm really happy with this project. I love the yarn, I love the shawl, I love the pattern. So it's all going really, really well. This has kind of been my treat knitting, because I'm trying to get some other things finished, and for example my featherweight, I kind of have to force myself a little bit more to work on it, and then when I feel like I've made some progress, I'll knit on this one. So, talking about the feather weight, why don't I just show that to you? This is from in my bag from Diary of a Yarn Snob. Again, I won this in one of her, I think it was just a finished of the month, FO of the month sort of giveaway that she did for a while. So in here is my featherweight, which is a cardigan by Hannah Fettig. I'll show you the yarn first. The yarn that I'm using for this is a merino silk alpaca blend. And sorry, earthquake. This is sort of like this turquoise, no, it's purple, but it also has these shades of blue, which I think are really, really pretty. And I actually have a light on today because it's really dark, so I hope that the colors are showing up kind of the way they should, but maybe if I hold it further away, you get a better idea of the color. So this yarn is Mirasol Sulca Legato. There we go. Oh, and I'm dropping the yarn. So this is the tag. So that's sort of like between a fingering and a lace weight. It has 500 meters per 100 grams. And it is extra fine merino, baby alpaca and mulberry silk. The colorway number is 13. So, sorry, I feel like I'm messing up the autofocus thing today. I've made quite a bit of progress on this. This is the back, and you can see here I have separated for the sleeves. I think I had separated for the sleeves last week. So now I'm just knitting on the body of the sweater. So this stitch marker is where I was last week, so you can see I made maybe 10 centimeters of progress, which I think is fine by me because it is quite thin yarn, and like I said, I haven't been super focused on this because I just kind of get bored by all the stockinette. But I really like this pattern. Again, I'm knitting this for the second time because the first one I knit out of a grey yarn I'm wearing all the time, and it's proven so helpful. So I just figured I need more of these cardigans, and they're actually pretty fun. So this is my featherweight, and I have my spare, my sleeve stitches on spare cables. So that's what's going all over the place. I hope the camera doesn't pick all these noises up because they tend to bang against the table and the chair and all that. I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles, and this time I'm actually really using my Addi lace needles. Alright, and then my last work in progress is a new cast on. Actually, it's not my last work in progress if you count my blankets, which I'll show you in a second. But anyways, this is living in my bag from Connie of Chili Knits. And yeah, I just had to do some sort of egoistical, selfish cast on because, yeah, I felt like I could. And I've been doing a lot of gift knitting. So this is some amazing yarn. And I'll try to get it to focus first. This is from She Bought Garnet again, on their soft sock base in the colorway Wild Thing. And I'm showing it to you upside down again. She Bought Garnet. So this is the Wild Thing colorway, and I've been looking at this colorway online, and I think some of them are a little bit less crazy, but I got a really crazy skein which has a crazy amount of color in it, and I really love it. So I cast on a blueberry waffle sock, which is a pattern that I really quite like, but I've only knitted once, I believe. But I really like it because it fits really well and it's actually quite fun to knit. So this is how much I've done, which is not very much. So I've done 20 rows of 2x2 rib. Come on, focus. And now I've started into the blueberry waffle pattern, which I think you can kind of see. I know the yarn is quite crazy, but I think it actually works really well, and I think it's going to make amazing socks. And I've really been enjoying working on these. I'm again, as you can see, knitting this magic loop. Focus. And I'm using my Higher Sharps DPN's magic loop circular needles, that's the word, 2.25mm US size 1. And this yarn is really, really soft. I really like the base. I think I have about 3 skeins, including this one, in my stash, but I never actually knit with it. So I'm super happy to have cast on with some of the yarn, even though now I want to have more of it, because yeah, it's so fun. So yeah, this is definitely a happy project for me, and I love it, and I think I might work on this today for a while, because yeah, I really like it. And I think the blueberry waffle pattern is by Sandy Turner, even though I'm not 100% sure, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I cast on 64 stitches. So that's that. Let me go into my blankets. So I have 2 blankets going on at the moment, and my newer one is my pinwheel scrap blanket. And last week I had 2 squares done, 2 blocks and 1 half done. So I finished this block, and I also blocked the entire blanket, which has been very helpful, because this thing is now huge. So this is only 3 blocks, but yeah, blocking this out really helped, because in the beginning I thought, why would I block, you know, a blanket while I'm working on it? That just kind of seems insane. But now it's so much drapier and feels a lot nicer. So I had these 2 blocks done last week. So I finished, hang on, am I lying to you? No. I finished this block. I think I had half of it done last week. And I'm not quite sure what I've done and what was new. But anyways, I finished this one. And then I started a new block, but as you can see, I've only done 2 triangles. And I thought this was actually really, really cute how this knit up. These are both sort of self-patterning yarns, and both changed colors at the same point, so it kind of looks as if it really matches, and I think this is really, really cute. And this one is a Drops Fable. I think I actually have the same yarn in my stash, so I need to make some socks out of this one. And this one is a self-striper that I got from Kelly, and I also put that in the other blanket, so I think it's really nice to have the same yarn in both blankets. And I'm knitting this on 3mm needles, and these ones are some old ones from my grandma, and they're actually really, really perfect for this. I'm 99% sure these are some old Addy metal needles. So that's my pinwheel scrap blanket. I should probably explain that. And that's by Mina Phillip of the Happy Knitting Podcast. No, the Knitting Expert Podcast. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit confused today. Now my big blanket, which is actually becoming quite large. I also made some progress. I really like to, you know, put in a few squares in both blankets, because like I said last week, I feel like I'm cheating on my old blanket when I'm working on a new one, and I actually really like both. So I added 3 squares, which is not a whole lot. But I added some of the minis that Kelly gave me, so I added this one, and I actually ran out of the mini there, because again, I tried to put it in both blankets and that just didn't really work. So, but I think you can barely see it. This one is just some sock yarn up here, and then this one, and all of these are mystery minis. And this is the other half of the self-strapping mini that I showed you in the pinwheel scrap blanket. So I thought that was quite cute that I got 2 completely different squares, because they actually changed colors literally when I was binding off this square. I didn't do anything to make them behave that way. That just kind of happened, and I thought that was really cool. So this blanket, I don't know if I can show it to you. This is how big it is, and for this one I'm using 2.0mm needles, which is a size 0. So this one is a lot more dense, and it does take longer to knit these squares, but I think it's going to be a warmer blanket as well. So I really like both. I really like having the variety, and yeah, I really, really love this blanket to death. I actually want to treat it to some nice new needles pretty soon, so I might do that today. But I keep talking about how I need to get more needles every podcast, I feel like, and I never actually go out to get them, because then I feel like, do I really want to spend my money on needles? I'd rather spend it on yarn, and then I don't know. Anyways, that's my blanket, and I usually keep it in this sort of basket, and in here I have you know, some minis. These are not all the minis that I have, but they are the ones that I just grab a few from, you know, when I get them from people, I just throw them in here and then I work through these, and then when I feel like I want different minis, I go into my stash because I have more minis that some lovely people sent to me in my stash. So that's that. And that's actually all of my works in progress. And I mean, I think it was 6 of them, so that's probably enough works in progress as well. So, yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk about spinning today because I haven't made that much progress, so I'll go straight into acquisitions. So since I'm talking about my blanket and mini skeins, I'll show you this one first. This is from my lovely friend who I met in Munich. She's my only Munich knitting friend, which is amazing. And she's given me some minis before, and we swapped a few things. Sorry, my camera it didn't run out of memory, but it only can record 25 minutes at a time. So like I said, when she heard that I started a new blanket, she gave me more minis. And there's some really, really pretty ones in here. And I'm excited to put these into my blanket. And these are actually quite sizable minis as well. So these days, of course, when I get minis, I'm always contemplating whether I can fit them into both of my blankets. And we also traded some cotton yarn because I said I want to make some dishcloths and what are they called? Sort of like you use them for hot things that you can't touch in the kitchen, because we now have a gas stove, so the pots get really hot, so I always need to use these sort of crocheted, I don't know what they're called. Are they called dishcloths? I don't think so. I'm sure you know what I mean. I want to make some, so she gave me some cotton yarn, and this is some Schachenmeier, what is it? It just says original. Oh no, there we go. Catania. And so I'm going to make some today. I want to make them pretty soon because I only have some really old crocheted sort of squares that my grandma made for me ages ago, but I'd like to make my own. And I might actually hold the yarn double to make them really thick, and I think I'm either going to make just simple miter squares or maybe like pinwheels from the pinwheel scrap blanket. I really just want something that works, and I don't think I have the patience to go into really intricate sort of patterns for this. So we'll see. And she also gave me this CD, which is really exciting, and it's still wrapped, so sorry I haven't actually given it a listen yet. But this is a CD from Melanie Gall, who is a singer, but also she's one of the hosts of the Savvy Girls podcast, which actually I haven't watched yet, so I'm really sorry about that. But these are knitting songs, like it's called Knitting All the Day, knitting songs from World War I. And I'm really, really curious about this, and I can't wait to actually try this. It says here it's vocals, piano, percussion, and also a spoken voice. So this is going to be really, really interesting. So yeah, thank you so much for this interesting sort of gift. I'm looking forward to trying it, and I actually feel really bad that I haven't even opened it yet, but I wanted to show it on the podcast. So that's my lovely package. Then I also got 2 things in the mail, and the first thing I got in the mail was another skein of yarn from Miss Mothballs on Etsy, who is a German indie dyer. And the yarn that I ordered was Blooming Sage, or the colorway is Blooming Sage, on her Tough Sock base. And this is what it looks like. So I've seen this in her shop a few times and wasn't sure if I should, splurge and get it, and went back and forth, and then actually I think I spent an entire day seeing it in my cart but not buying it, and then of course it sold. So the other day when I came back, I just bought it. I really had to have it. And I'm really happy I did, because it's this sort of like light mint green, I guess, but then it has these really awesome speckles. And I think this is going to be a really fun sock to knit up. There's actually more speckles in here. So yeah, I think the perfect sock yarn. And she also sent me a little tea, and I love tea, as you know, and another mothball, which is her sign, of course, or her, what is it? I don't know, part of her branding, I suppose, with a beautiful mini. So beautiful, in fact, I actually contemplated whether I need to go out and buy that as well, but I'm trying to be less crazy. But this is Love is a Bad Battlefield on her Tweedy feet base, and it's really pretty. So that's the first thing I got, and then something else that I ordered a while ago came in the mail, and that's from Fine Fish Yarns. I'm trying to find her logo first. Fine Fish Yarns from the UK. And again, I've been looking at her shop for so long, and when I finally caught an update, I just had to buy something. And again, I'm not even sure if I talked about this, but of course, the only positive thing that came out of Brexit is that at the moment it's relatively cheap for us to order from the UK. So I like to order from the UK anyways, and yeah, perfect excuse. Anyways, I got 2 skeins of yarn. So the first one I got is this one, and it is just so pretty. It is her core sock 75/25 merino nylon, 425 meters per 100 grams. And the colorway is Whatever Happened to Fairy Cakes, which I think is so cute. And you can probably see there's like really delicate speckles of pink and red, and there's some blue and yellow in here. I originally ordered this for socks, but now I'm thinking it might be beautiful in a shawl combined with something else, because it is very, I don't know, it's very soft. And I really like the soft base. It feels super nice. So yeah, I really like it. And then I also had to get a sock blank. I really wanted to get another sock blank sooner or later, because I really enjoy knitting with them. And I had 2 at some point, and I knit them all up, so I didn't have any sock blanks in my stash. So I saw this one. It's called Sparked Out. It's, I think, on the same base. It's another 75/25 merino nylon. And these are definitely not my colors, but I really like them, so I think they might be my future colors. But like, this is nothing I would usually this is not the sort of thing that I would notice, because yeah, like I said, these colors are beautiful, but I just don't really see them for me. But I love them so much. I think it's so pretty. So maybe I need some. I definitely want to make socks out of this. And yeah, I feel like I'm getting into the oranges and reds at the moment, which is not usually what I like. But yeah, this is really pretty. And if you don't know, a sock blank is a piece of knitted fabric that has been dyed, and then you knit from the blank. So you just kind of pull on the string and knit straight from that, and that makes it for really interesting sort of effects on the knitted socks. So I'm really happy with that, and part of me just wants to keep it as a sock blank and wear it because it's so pretty. So anyways, these are my acquisitions. I'm really happy with them. Yeah, I should probably take that off. Sorry, sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit too crazy. So yeah, that's actually it for the knitting content of this podcast. So if you're only here for that, that's 100% fine. I completely understand. And I mean, there's only so much time in the day as well. So if you are leaving now, I'll just quickly go through the places where you can find me. So I'm on Instagram as The Happy Knitting Podcast, and I'm on Ravelry as Wipfi, which is WUEPFI. And then we have a Ravelry group for the podcast, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group. We're very creatively, of course. And in there are all sorts of threads, so I always love hearing from you guys there. For example, you can introduce yourself. All the knit-alongs run in there, and I do ask that you become a member of the group if you want to participate in any knit-alongs or giveaways. We also have an Ask Away thread if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me. There's a shameless self-promotion thread where if you are a maker of any kind. You can use that thread to post about the things that you are creating or making or selling. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in there, so I would really, really appreciate it if you stepped by and said hello, because I always love hearing from you guys and, you know, finding out more things about my viewers and, you know, getting in touch with you guys brings me so much joy. So if you're leaving here, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. And if you're sticking around, I'll talk about life in general first. So I feel like this week has kind of blown by and I have no idea what happened. Like usually when before I record a podcast, I have a idea and I think about, you know, the main things that I'd like to talk about. But for this week I was just very confused, and I think it has to do with all the things that happened on the news. I think that just kind of threw me out. Sorry, my voice is going crazy. But one positive thing that's happened in the last few weeks is that I have taken up running again. I used to run ages ago and then kind of stopped, and then I've been doing yoga for a while, but not really doing it lately either. And you might know, if you've been watching for a while, that I had quite severe back problems quite a few months ago, and I had to do physiotherapy. So, you know, the obvious thing was that I need to do more sports in order to prevent that sort of thing happening in the future. And I actually really like doing sports. Sorry. So I've basically always been wanting to go running with my boyfriend, because we both like to run, but he never wanted to go with me. I don't know why. Like, when in the beginning of our relationship, we might both go running at the same time and leave the house together but run in opposite directions, because for some reason he really didn't like it. Well, I convinced him, and so I think 2 weeks ago we actually did our first run together, and we have the system where we both need to go run twice a week, and we have pizza every Sunday, because our local Italian place around the corner sells pizza for €5 on Sundays. So we said that if one of us doesn't run twice a week, they have to pay for the pizza for the other person. So I actually got free pizza last week, in addition to the success of doing the running, which was great. So anyways, I'm really happy to be running again. It feels really good. Actually, after my second run, I had really bad back pain, so I was quite worried that I had done something wrong, and, you know, I'm quite paranoid now, because it wasn't fun last time, but that seemed to go away really, really quickly. And yeah, it feels really good. We're living in a beautiful place where we can actually, we're at the river in this beautiful park within like a minute. So we would be stupid not to go running in this beautiful place. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying that. My master's thesis in psychology is going okay. I felt like I hit all sorts of walls this last week. I don't know, nothing major happened, and I think I'm doing quite well. I have about half of it written now. But yeah, I'm still pretty unsure about what I'm doing, and this morning I really wanted to just sit down and work on it, and then of course something happened and nothing worked anymore, and I was freaking out, and well, the sorts of things that happen when you're writing a thesis, I suppose. But all in all, I think it's going well, and I'm really trying to not stress out too much, because I know I stress out way too much about this thing. Because yeah, I feel like I should be working on it 8 hours a day, but then I really can't, because it's just the sort of work that at least I can't do for that long, because it's just really, really exhausting. So yeah, I just need to, you know, not put too much pressure on myself, because I think in the end, finishing a month earlier or later won't make a huge difference in my life. And yeah, I'm sure you all wanted to know about that. I'm sure that was super interesting for you guys. Anyways, the sad thing that happened this week and just kept on happening, and actually, you know, more sad news came today, was that, you know, in different places in Germany there have been all sorts of attacks, and they were really, really scary. So I think the first one that happened was the one in Würzburg, which is actually where I used to live for the last 4.5 years, on a train that I used to take all the time, and that was quite scary. And yeah, I get quite emotional about these things, and then I'm sure that even if you don't live in Europe or Germany, you heard about the attack in Munich on last Friday, which was really scary, to be honest. I was just so glad my boyfriend actually came home relatively early from work that day. So we were both at home just having dinner when we heard the news that there had been a shooting, and eventually the police closed down everything, and no public transport was running, and the train station was being evacuated, and it was just really, really scary. And I was just so glad that my boyfriend was at home. Not because he works anywhere near the shopping center where it happened, but because, all of Munich was basically stuck wherever they were when it happened for a very long time. And for a long time they thought that whoever did it was still on the run, so it would have been even so much more scary if I had been home alone and my boyfriend had been stuck somewhere. Anyways, yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. And I feel like there's a lot of discussion going on about why someone did that, and if it's terror or if it's an amok run or whatever, but I feel like, of course it matters, but then again it really doesn't, because, if people are being attacked and hurt and killed, of course, yeah, I don't know. It is just really scary no matter what the motivation behind it was. So yeah, I haven't slept very much, to be honest. It was just a really, really weird experience, and like I said, we were completely safe, so it was never something, like, there was nothing that directly affected us, but on that Friday night I was watching the news, of course, as you do, and at the same time I could just hear sirens going on, I think for 3 hours straight, and we live quite on the other side of the city. But you could hear the sirens, and you could hear, helicopters going by, and yeah, it was very scary, and my thoughts, of course, with everyone who was, affected by that. And the fact, I think, this is selfish, of course, but the fact that, within, I think, 4 days, something happened in the city where I used to live, where, I really felt at home, and I used to take that train all the time, and then in the city where I live now, that just kind of, it was a lot to take in after what happened in France, and yeah, whatever. And then this morning, I really couldn't believe it when I opened Facebook on my phone and found out that there had been another sort of attack in another town close to home, a town where I used to work, in fact. And yeah, it just seems crazy, and I don't even know what to say about that. I guess all we can do is, stay together, and, love is love, and, treat other people well, and hope that everything works out. I really, really liked how here in Munich, when the attacks happened, lots of people took in other people from the streets, because the police were telling everyone to go inside, but of course lots of people were stuck. So I thought that was really, really amazing that people had this sort of open doors policy where they, wrote on Facebook, if anyone is near such and such area, you can come to my place and be safe, and I thought that was fantastic. So yeah, again, thanks to everyone who has reached out. Yeah, well, on Saturday, which was the day after, we were both kind of at home, and I didn't really want to take the underground into the city, which is stupid because at that point, it was all pretty much safe again, but it just felt weird. So we only wanted to go out for breakfast near where we live, near the river. And then we spontaneously went to the zoo, which was really quite nice and completely took my mind off everything that happened, which was really, it was just so much, it was really fun, and I enjoyed myself very much. And I think we spent like 3 hours at the zoo, and seeing all these animals. And I haven't been in a zoo for ages, and the two of us, my boyfriend and I, have never been to a zoo together, so that was quite fun. And we spent some of the day later just at the river in the sun, and some people were actually bathing, but the river was quite cold, so I didn't do that. I took some knitting, I snuck some knitting into my bag. So yeah, all in all, we did have a nice weekend, and we were okay, and we did enjoy ourselves. But yeah, it does leave some sort of strange aftertaste, which I think will go away after time, because there's nothing you can do but move on. But yeah, that's life, and that was really depressing. I'm sorry about that. I didn't really know. I didn't not want to talk about that, but yeah, I still don't know how I feel about talking about this. Anyways, I figured I don't want to end the podcast on such a negative sort of note, so I have decided to talk about something that I've been wanting to mention for a while. Something not knitting related and maybe not of interest to you guys, but I'm just going to throw it out there. So, as you probably know, I do study psychology. And of course there's lots of different areas, but I think everyone at some point of their life stumbles into the realms of positive psychology, which is essentially the psychology of happiness and what makes people happy and what makes them thrive and that sort of thing. And of course in that area there's a lot of science, but there's also a lot of self-help books and books by so-called experts which don't necessarily have anything to do with science. But anyways, I think it's a really interesting topic, and it's one that I kind of, I've been interested in slightly, or like a little bit, again and again, and yeah. So today I wanted to talk about a book that I really liked. And that's probably one that a lot of people might already know. It's a book by Gretchen Rubin, which is spelled Rubin, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And she wrote the Happiness Project book, which I thought was really interesting because it's not a classical sort of self-help book, but it's more of a book where she says, she is living comfortably with her 2 kids, I believe, and her husband, and they're doing fine, and she just wants to know if there's, more out there, or like if, she doesn't want to change the world, she doesn't want to go eat, pray, love, and, travel around the world for a year. She just kind of, she makes a sort of happiness project for herself. And the way she does it is something I kind of relate to. Like, she's very scientific about it, and she makes plans, and she plans for each month, and she has specific goals, and she reads so much. That's the part I couldn't believe. Like, she reads everything from, the old Greek myths to psychology to publics, to more like, self-help books, to, like, she does everything. And her journey, like, things that she discovers that work for her that might not necessarily work for anyone else, it's just really, like, I think it's just a happy read and a nice read. And I think I first read it about, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, and I actually lost my first copy. So then on some trip, I think when I was in Malaysia, I bought it again. And it's just a book that I look into every now and then, and it always leaves me some inspiration in, things that I could change in my life. And so yeah, again, I feel like these sort of like books in general, and this book in particular, is a very subjective thing. Some people might hate it, some people might like it, but I will link to it in the show notes because I thought that was quite interesting. And then the other thing related to happiness that I wanted to talk about is things you can do to improve happiness. And I'm not on the, I haven't read too much about it in the last year, so things might change, but as far as I know, there's very few sort of things you can do that make people more happy that are scientifically proven. But one of them is to write down 3 things each day, at the end of each day, that made you happy or that were positive, and why. And at least as far as I know, I haven't read every paper out there on happiness. Like I said, it's one of the only things that has been scientifically proven to enhance people's happiness within, I think, 3 weeks, but I might be wrong about that. And I think that's a super great, not only a great concept, but it's also a really good sort of exercise to do, because little things can make you happy. It doesn't have to be something amazing. And so I think I started thinking about and writing down my 3 favorite things of the day about 2 years ago. And the funny thing is, I don't even know how it started, but somehow my boyfriend and I got into this sort of routine or tradition that every night before we go to bed, or when we're lying in bed, we go, like, one of us will go, so what were your 3 things today? And we actually do this every night. And it's not, I don't know, it maybe sounds weird to you, but it's just sort of a habit that we do. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know, I didn't have 3 things today. But it's like, yeah, you always have 3 things. And, you know, the 3 things that made you happy or gave you a little bit of joy each day can be as simple as, you know, a good cup of tea, or, you know, walk outside in the sun and it felt nice. You know, like, it doesn't have to be huge things. But I really, really like doing that. And I feel like it's so important to stop every now and appreciate little things, because these things go so fast. And often, you know, you think, oh, today nothing really happened. And then when you actually go to think about it, then it's like, oh, actually it was quite nice when such and such happened, and I had a good conversation with this person, and yeah, I don't know. So this might not be for everyone, but in my opinion, it's really, really important to think about and notice and appreciate the little things, because I think no one has, you know, constant greatness in their life, and a lot of times, you know, things don't go to plan, and in like day-to-day life, you know, you have a lot of routine, but to think about these little things that actually made a difference and, you know, are something positive, I don't know, I just think it's a great thing to do. And I mean, I don't know if it's scientifically and significantly boosted my happiness, but I really like doing that, and maybe some of you guys would enjoy that as well. So thank you so much. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you have a great week. It's always kind of hard to say that on Mondays because I hate Mondays so much. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you have some time to knit and do some things that you love, and that you're doing well. And I will see you next week. Bye!